So for my ISU, I have decided to research the topic of prejudice, discrimination, and stereotypes in relation to teenagers. So first let's start off with a few definitions so that we can apply these concepts later. So what is prejudice? According to Simply Psychology, prejudice is an unjustified or incorrect attitude towards an individual based solely on the individual's membership of a group. So, for example, one might be prejudiced towards someone who is female because they are female, or someone of a different ethnicity. One of the most widely known forms of prejudices shown to us today, by the media especially, is prejudice towards those belonging to the Muslim faith due to the current rise in terrorism. What is discrimination? Discrimination is the behavior or actions, usually negative, towards an individual or group of people, especially based on sex, race, social class, things like that. People who face discrimination have an incredibly difficult time finding jobs or feeling a part of the community because people are constantly looking down on them for superficial characteristics. An example of discrimination would be segregation between the whites and blacks, which happened in the United States, mostly in the southern parts, for an incredibly long period of time, until freedom of discrimination was passed. So what is the difference between discrimination and prejudice? This is a really important distinction to be able to make, especially in this type of research. So prejudice is simply the negative beliefs of a person towards another group, but discrimination is when they actually act on it and they perform negative actions towards people who they have prejudices against. So what are stereotypes? Stereotypes are characteristics associated with a group of people, most commonly stemming from society's viewpoint. So for example, gender stereotypes are some of the most prevalent when it comes to families today, as stereotypically the wife is to stay at home, cook, clean, take over the domestic affairs, while the man goes out to work and provide for his entire family. So now that we know the meaning behind these concepts, how are they all interrelated? Stereotypes are the main cause of prejudice and discrimination, even before personal experience. And people tend to hate those that they don't properly understand, and a lot of this misunderstanding comes from stereotypes. It's clear that hate is quite a prevalent part in our society, despite the current push for more love, but where do we get these hateful messages from? Some researchers suggest that families are the main cause of continual discrimination. Parents are believed to push their own prejudices onto their children, and then they pass them on to their children, and then they pass them on to their children, and so on, and that's how we get this continual cycle of hate. It is also suggested that the media is the main cause of mass misunderstanding and hate towards certain groups, because of the portrayal of stereotypes in television and movies and radio, which are all around us and we can't escape. This kind of goes along with the idea of subliminal messaging, where if you have enough images of hate and different stereotypes subtly around places, that people will slowly start to catch on. In accordance with all of this, the research question that I decided on was, is there a correlation between the media and teens' prejudices, or are all of their prejudices determined by family beliefs? I decided to focus my question around teens because they're the most influenced age group of them all, and Erikson's stages of development suggest that our opinions and affiliation with causes and prejudices develop during our teen years. This research question is incredibly important to study due to the current controversy surrounding stereotypes today. So currently there's a massive movement happening where the world is trying to preach more love than hate and abolish stereotypes at the same time. With new societal developments such as gay rights, gender role reversal, and freedom from discrimination, it's important to understand where these stereotypes and hate originally came from so that we can keep them from developing and so that the up-and-coming generation can move into a period of more love. Many today blame the last generation or the previous generation for starting issues with stereotypes and discrimination and passing their hateful beliefs onto their children. But the fact is that through my extensive research, I have concluded that parents and families have pretty much nothing to do with this continuation of societal hate. The media does. For my research, I sent out a survey to 20 teens of mixed genders and ages, asking them about their ethnicity, their favorite television shows, favorite news channels, their role models, and their opinions on stereotypes. Through the results, I concluded that those exposed to certain stereotypes through television and news channels exhibited signs of prejudice towards those same groups in real life. So, for example, if a teen watched a TV show where there was an immense amount of stereotypes surrounding homosexual relationships, then they were more likely to exhibit signs of prejudice towards those who are homosexual in real life. Therefore, my opinion on the matter of whether media or families influence prejudice is that the media has everything to do with it, and families really have no control over it. One main statistic in my research that further proves this point is the fact that those of Middle Eastern descent showed an incredible amount of prejudice towards people of the same ethnicity as them. And that definitely came from the fact that they were watching news channels where people of Middle Eastern descent on the TV were being seen as very violent and very dangerous to society. Don't get me wrong, families are definitely important to a child's development and their values. And in their younger years, parents have an immense impact on what they believe because children have to believe their parents. That's all they know. That's all they can understand. However, in the teen years, when children start to stray away from their parents, they kind of start to seek rebellion and wish to form opinions and beliefs on their own. And where do they go to form these opinions? The media. They go on the internet. They go on Twitter. They go and watch the television and watch the news. All these things influence teens' prejudices, and there's virtually nothing that parents can do to stop it because you can't force your child to live in a box away from all of these harmful stereotypes and prejudices. So I believe that if we truly want to combat stereotypes and prejudice, the media needs to start taking its responsibility as a primary influencer seriously and change the way that they're portraying the different ethnicities, sexual orientations, and genders.